Good Erev Shabbos to all. We're in today's daf in Baba Kam's daf Pei Hey. We're on Pei Dalit on Mid Beis, about 10, 12 lines up at the two dots. Now the Torah says the following. The Torah says, people are fighting, they had a pregnant woman, and that's made vladais. And if the woman dies, then they don't pay anything. But ayin tachas ayin, shein tachas shein, yod tachas yod, regel tachas regel. And here's the pasuk we need, fellas: kavia tachas kavia, literally kavia tachas kavia. And kavia is a makas eish, a burn. Petza tachas patza, a wound. Chabura tachas chabura. So the order is important. Kavia, petza, chabura. Good? Kavia, petza, chabura. Okay? Keep that in mind as we go through the sugya. Says the Gemara. Sar shaloi b'makam, it said, the Mishnah said, sar, that you pay five things. Nezek, sar. The nezek we ascertained is how much a person is worth on the slave market with his arm or without his arm. And we said that tsar you can pay even shloi b'makam and nezek. So, for example, if you would go ahead and hit the person on their fingernail where there is no nezek to the body itself, but there is tsar, you'd pay that as well. Says the Gemara the following: tsar shloi b'makam nezek mishtalem. Tsar even where there's no nezek, who is the Tana? In other words, I would have thought that tsar is only when it's accompanied with an open wound, where there's a chesaron kiss, where there's you're going ahead and make the person worth less. How do you know that you pay tsar afilu shelo b'makam nezek, even where there is no damage there, you're going to pay tsar? So tsar shelo b'makam nezek mishtale man tana amarava ben azai, it's ben azai the Tanya. Now, guys, when it said kviya tachas kviya, did that mean with the chabura or without a chabura? Again, as I said, guys, three things: kviya, petza, chabura. Kviya, pesach, chabura. When it said kviya, did that mean with a wound or without a wound? So Rabbi Omer, kviya nemra tchila, ben azai yomer chabura nemra tchila. Now, what does that mean? According to Rabbi, listen to the following, guys. According to Rabbi, it says, when it says kviya, it means just a wound, just a burn, let's say. Then when it says chabura afterwards, it's touching up. What type of kviya is it? Only one that makes a chabura. So according to Rebbe, the only time you're going to pay tsar is with a chabura, because the word kviya means without a chabura, and comes along the word chabura two words later to touch up what type of kviya. That's kviya with a wound. And therefore, Rebbe can't be the Tana of our Mishnah, because our Tana of Mishnah said you're going to pay tsar even without a wound. However, Ben Azai says, chabura nema tchila, meaning, when it says kavia, it means with a chabura. Then when it says chabura 2 words later, it touches up and means no. Kavia meant just kavia alone without a chabura, or else why say the chabura afterwards? So the question is, how do you make this drasha? What's first base? If first base is with the chabura, then comes along the word chabura to tell me first base is without a chabura. If first base is without a chabura, comes along the word chabura to tell me first base is with a chabura. So the question is, how is chabura touching up the kviya? If kviya already has a chabura, it's touching up kviya means without a chabura. If kviya means without a chabura, it's touching up what? Only with a chabura. That's the way they dash in the pasuk.
Rabbi, as a practical question, how is it possible once you have a burn, isn't there automatically some type of wound there? Otherwise, there's nothing to see.
So I said, let's say you hit it on the fingernail. Let's say they said, let's say he burned his fingernail, kaviyachol, right? There's no. You could have a wound, you can have a burn, but it doesn't take away from the person's. Most time people get a burn, they can be sold on the slave market the same way, Dov. It's just the tsar. In other words, there's no inherent loss, right, by the person. But again, guys, it's again, one more time, I'm having trouble explaining it clearly, I think. Where are you starting at? I'm saying, again, Avi, we're discussing the pasuk of Kviya tachas kviya, petz tachas potza, and the word chabur tachas kabura, those three things. So now, when it says the word kviya, what does that mean? If you didn't say anything else, guys, I got it. You didn't say anything else. What would it mean? It would mean dafka with a chabura. Dafka with a chabura. So therefore, why is it necessary to say the word chabura later? It must mean to touch up that this is with a chabura and kviya is without a chabura. That's Ben Azai. That's our Mishnah. Versus Rabbi says no. When it says kviya initially, it means without a chabura, and comes along the word chabura to say no, only with the chabura and not without a chabura. So let's see it inside. Let's start again. Says the Sar Shlei b'makom nezek mishtalem man tana ama Rava ben Azahi. The Tanya Rabbi Yomer. Kenny, we're on pay dollar and base 2 dots. Rabbi Yomer kviya nemra tchila. It says kviya, right? That means without a chabura. Ben Azai Yomer chabura nemra tchila. That means with a chabura. The Maikamiflaki, Rabbi Sava kviya the less be chabura. Rabbi says kviya means without a chabura. Mashma. Kasser Rachmana chabura comes along and afterwards the word kviya writes the word chabura afterwards legluye Allah to reveal that what the kviya the isbe chabura in dafka kviya that has a chabura yes iloi loi. Ben Azai Sava no kviya the word kviya the isbe chabura it's starting off there is a chabura mashma. Kasrachman chabura ligluye Allah. No, the kviya the less chabura, and therefore our Mishnah that says you be chayif it sar shaloi b'makam nesek because there is no nesek is Ben Azai. Maskal Rapapa Adraba Ibcham Mistaber. It's Mistaber to say the opposite. Rabbi Oimer kviya nemer tchila. Rabbi says that why it says kviya first mash savar kviya disbe chabura. That's a chabura. Mashma kasrachman chabura ligluye Allah the kviya the less be chabura. In other words, we're switching around the shittas of Ben Azai and Rebbe. Like, fellas, we want the Mishnah to come out according to Rebbe and not Ben Azai. I'll tell you simply why. Who is Masada the Mishnayos? Rebbe. would Rebbe be Masada the Mishnayos like Yehilchas? In other words, it's very important for us, the Mishnah, to come out according to Rebbe. You don't stam as I go ahead and switch around to make it fit, right? It must be a compelling reason. The compelling reason over here is Rabbi was Masada and Mishnayos. He's going to go ahead and Masada according to Ben Azai, not himself. So therefore, says Rav Papa, no. So the Mishnah that says that Yechayev afilu tsar shaloi b'makam chabura is according to Rebbe. So Rebbe holds the word kaviyah means what? With a chabura. Comes along the word chabura to say no without a chabura, and that's the sheet of Ben Azai in Rav's lashon. So now, Ben Azai Yomer chabura nemer tchila sava kavasei d'les bechabura mashma. Kasem chabura legluya lo the kfir this bechabura in iloi loi va'amaskona kaimei va'amaskona kaimei, and what's the lashon va'amaskona kaimei? Rashi says that Hai Nemra de Ta'amri Asoifa Drasha Vikri Hishay Medes Kaime. Right. When Rebbe and Ben Azai they said Nemra Techila, it said first Kviya, right? Einu Elamasha Hainu Svurim. Now it's guys, it's very interesting. Look at the way Lashon begins. Kviya is mashma Nemra bichabura. Then it changes, right? It changes without a chabura. Rebbe says, Rebbe in Ben Azai in the second lashon, kaviyah is without a chabura. Comes along right and says no, it's with a chabura. So when the psak that they arrive at amaskana based upon the word chabura that appears to touch up the first thing. In other words, if first base doesn't remain, when you said first base, you meant first base, but the psak is on the limud of once you have chabur to touch up what kviya means. So I put this out here. So I put this out here, I think, to make it a little clearer because it's very. I have this from last time. Usually, when I have something a second time around, I know it was difficult for people to understand. So here you have a little chart. Okay, according to Rabbi kviya nemra tchila. What is, and according to Ben Azai, chabura nemra tchila. In other words, when it said the word kviya, what did it mean? So when it says tchila, This is not the maskana. Is this? This is the maskana. That when it says the word chabura to tell me, it doesn't mean with the wound. It means without a wound. Legalis shekavia dafkem chabura. It's to go ahead and to tell me, if you're telling me that kavia nemra tchila without a chabura, so comes to learn the word what of chabura to tell me it's dafka with a chabura. According to Ben Azai, chabura nemra tchila. What does that mean? That it has a chabura in the beginning. Comes along the word chabura to tell me that even without a chabura you be chayiv. So this touches up this. That's Rava. Rapapa switches it around, and now we're by the inami. Inami the kuli alma kviya bein the espei chabura bein the lespei chabura. It doesn't make a difference. It can. The question is, so in other words, it doesn't make a difference. Everyone holds that what that it has a chabura, it doesn't have a chabura. Okay, guys, before we see the words, look at me. Before we see the words, look at me. We have three words. We have the word kviya, we have the word petza, we have the word chabura. Usually when you have a klalu prat, you have the prat following right after the klal. So what it really should say is kviya, chabura, petza. But we have the word petza in between the two. Question: when you have something in the middle, do you darshan a klalu prat? Am I going to darshan that the word chabura is going back on kviya because I have the word petza in the middle or not? So loit the mandi omar that says dafke bechabura, that means you're going to darshan it, right? Loit the mandi omar that says that you don't darshan, that you don't darshan it, it would be mashma any type of chabura. So therefore, according to the Inami, right? According to the Inami, everyone says that what? That any kviya means any type of wound. According to the Kalu Prat, Rechoikim Einu Nidunim, you're not going to judge it because it's in between, right? The chabur is not b'mayit the kviya. So therefore, it would be what? Any type of what? Chabura. Any type of kviya, whether it has a chabura or it doesn't have a chabura, because I'm not going to go ahead and darshan the chabura. Guys, pirish. I'm taking this chart off. First base is any type of wound, any type of kfir, any type of burn. Whether there is a chiyuv, there's not a chiyuv, doesn't make a difference. In other words, whether there's a wound or not a wound, that's what it means. Good? So now, if I have nothing else on this, that's what I remain with. I remain with what? Any type of kaviyah I'm going to pay for. Whether there's nezek and tsar, or whether there's only tsar, I'm going to pay. That's where I'm starting from, guys. I'm not changing that. Perhaps. Kamsa learned the word chabura and says, 1 second, no, it's not any type. It's only a chabura. Only if the tsar is accompanied with nezek. Question: can I use this word chabura to touch this up or not? If I don't use it, what does it remain with? Either way. If I do use it, it's limited to chabura. So, if you darshan a klalu prat that amur chokim zemizeh, they're a distance away because I have the word what? Petza in the middle. If I have the word petza in the middle, then if I darshan it, then I'm limited to only chabura. If I don't darshan it, then I remain what? Either or. Says the Gemara. Inami. Bottom line, bottom line. Inami. The kuliyalma kfiya bein the ispe chabura bein the lespe chabura mashma. You're starting off either which way. We're arguing if you have a prat that is distance from the klal. Rabbi savar ain't done an oisay b'chalu prat, and therefore you're going to go ahead what be chayiv on any which way, whether there is a chabur or not. This obviously Inami is going on the second lashon of Papa. Inami or benazay savar done an oisay b'chalu prat, right? You're going to darshan b'chalu prat, and you're going to be limited to what? A kaviyah that has a chabura. So question, according to Rabbi, what does chabura do then? If you're not going to darshan as a chalu prat, what does the word chabura do? V'chitei mechabura l'Rebbe lamali l'damim yisera. You would need it what? For damim yisera. Right? That you need it for what Rashi says for damim yisera. you like siv el kviya tachas kviya, have yaminan bein isbe chabura bein less be chabura. The may kula mishalem. I will tarti lo mishalem. I would think you pay only the tsar. Kamash that you pay both nezek and tsar. Okay, so yotzei midvarenu that when our Mishnah said that Yechayev on Sar Shaloi b'Makom Chabura, according to the first lashon it's Ben Azai, according to the second lashon it's Rebbe, according to the Inami is Rebbe, right? According to the first, the second lashon, let's go with Rebbe. According to the second lashon of Rebbe is going to darshan the word kviya even with the Chabura. Comes along the second one Chabura to tell me either which way. According to the final lashon, it's whether you darshan a klalu prat or klal. A kalu prat when ruchakim zemizeh when you have a word in the middle. According to Rebbe, we're going to not darshan it, and therefore the word kaviyah is going to remain any which way. According to Ben Azai, we're going to darshan it, and therefore we're going to take it, which means any which way. You're going to mean no dafka b'chabura, dafka b'chabura. That's the limit. Okay, says the Gemara, Sar b'makam nezek hechi shaminon. How do you go ahead and evaluate sar shlo b'makam nezek? In other words, we have both. Amar avu d'shmuel oimdim kama adam writes a litol. How much would a person be willing to pay to have his arm cut off? Obviously, nothing. It says more that's not just sar. You got to pay all five. That's like Sari B'Shevas Abaishas. Are we dealing with a fool? No one in the world is going to pay money. No. This is what MasterCard. It's priceless, right? There's no amount of money. So that can't be the case. Ella must be l'ktoya yadai hakatua. Let's say his hand is dangling. How much would he be willing to pay to cut off the hand? That's the tsar. Yadai yaktua namilay tsar l'chudeyika. A tsar u'boishes. You have tsar and boishes. Says the Gemara. It's embarrassing to him to have his hand cut off and thrown to the dogs. So that can't be the pshat in tsar shlebo tsar b'makam nezek. Elo oimdim. Kam adam writes a little liktoya lo yodai hamuktiv l'malchus ben sam l'sayiv. So now, this person, guys, he stole, and in this country, if you steal, they're going to cut off your hand. I think there's such countries even in this day and age. It's such a concept. So he's going to lose his arm either way. You can lose your arm one of two ways. You can use it through the method of the sword chopping it off, or you can use some type of drug. It seemed that a drug that was able to remove the arm. So now, how much would a person be willing to pay to have it chopped off with a sword rather than using sam? Hang in there. How much a person is willing to pay to have it chopped off rather than using a sam? A person would go ahead, and he'll say, there's no money in the world for me to endure this pain. In other words, there's no money in the world that's going to make me go ahead and have it chopped off instead of using a sam, right? In other words, again, you could use a sam. How much I'd be willing to pay to use a sword? But no person in the world is going to do that, guys, right? Ella, in other words, how much would I be willing to pay to have it done through the sam, the drug, rather than the sword? That already is a difference, right? The person's going to lose their arms with the sword. How much would he be willing to pay to have it done with sam rather than the sword? So the Gemara asked on that, hi, Lito, it didn't say how much to take. Litain, how much he would be willing to give? Says Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, B'Reid Yeshua, Lito, take from the mazik to the nezek, to give to the melech. So that's tsar, guys. Tsar, in conclusion, is how much would a person, when the Mishnah says, how much would a person be willing to go ahead and have his arm cut off? Do not take that literally. No person in the world is going to have that done. This person is losing his arm either way. Question, how much would he be willing to pay to have it done with the ease of a drug rather than the pain of the sword? That's the difference between the two. Good? Okay. Ripui, we said, what did the Mishnah say about what's Ripui? Ripui is the doctor bills. And the Mishnah had said the following. Hikoch, if let's say after he's hit, he begins to get scabs, right? If it's caused of the wound, then he has to pay. If it's not, it's right. It's he doesn't have to pay. If it's totally extraneous, right? If, however, it gets better, then it keeps on going back and forth, better. But then what? Then he has to pay, constantly paying. If it's totally cured, then you don't pay anymore. That's what the Mishnah said. Rabbanan. All about smachim machmas hamaka. Smachim seems to be like scabs. Come up machmas hamaka. V'nistera hamaka, and the maka comes back. Chayav l'faisai. Chayav litin loy demei shiftay. You'd have to pay the refuah, and you'd have to go ahead and pay the extended disability. Shaloi machmas hamaka. If it returns because eno chayav l'faisai and chayav litin loy demei shiftay, then you wouldn't have to be chayav to pay the may shiftay. You wouldn't have to pay for the disability. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Af machmas hamaka chayv l'faisai." Okay, we're gonna have a three-way machlokes. We're gonna have a three-way machlokes. Even because in the maka you're gonna have to pay l'faisai. Vein chayv litin loy demei shiftay. Chacham moimim shiftay refuah kol shechayv b'sheves chayv b'ripoy yishen chayv b'sheves in chayv b'ripoy. Okay, so you have a three-way machlokes. Guys, let's see what's a three-way machlokes. Here we go. If you have olaba machmas hamaka, as a result of the maka, it comes back. So the Tanakama says you chayiv both in ripuy and sheves. You chayiv both ripuy and sheves. According to Rabbi Yehuda, only the doctor bills and pata from sheves. According to Rabbanan Basroi, you pata from ripuy and sheves. So what's the machlokes? According to Tanakama, both. According to Rabbi Yehuda, only the doctor bills. According to Rabbanan Basroi, you pata completely, right? So what's the machlokes to explain these three shittas? These three shittas. Now the lashon of the Torah is v'oz nika maka rak shiftoi yitain v'rapa yirapeh. Okay, v'rak shiftoi yitei, give the sheves v'rapa yirapeh. So this pasuk goes ahead and it creates a relationship between ripuy and sheves. In the same pasuk, it says that what? Rak shiftoi, it says rapa yirape. Good. So we have a relationship between sheves and ripuy, between disability and doctor bills. Be aware it says the word rak. Rak means usually a miyut. Good. So now, but again, get these shittas down clearly and we'll be able to go through it. Tanakama, guys, chayiv both, ripuy and sheves. So when you chayiv ripuy, you chayiv sheves. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no, you can be chayiv ripuy without sheves. According to Rabbi Basroi, you pata from both. Okay, I'm going to keep it on the screen now, and let's see how it works out. But my kamifli, what's the svaras hamachlokes? Amar Rabba, ashkach sinu l'rabbanim bei Rav. I found the rabbanon in the yeshiva Rav. The Yasvi, they were sitting v'kama hacha b'maka nitla l'agid kamifli. You're speaking about a makkah that you have to put a bandage around it. You're speaking about a makkah that you have to what? To put a bandage around it. Rabbanan, the Tanakama Savar, makkah nitnein la'agid, the makkah is nitnein la'agid. And therefore, you chayiv both. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, makkah loy nitnein la'agid. Makkah is what? Is you should not go ahead and whether, now the question is whether you have to put a bandage on or not. So whether can you put a bandage on? The Chacham said you could, and he says you can't. So why therefore, guys, look at the shita. According to the Tanakama, look at the board. According to the Tanakama, I'm chayiv both because I can bandage it. I didn't do anything wrong. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you shouldn't bandage it. So really, if you shouldn't bandage it, you should be pata from both, correct? But it says a double lashon, guys. That's why it says v'rapa yirapeh. It says a double lashon. Timechayiv mi ripoy. Good, and the Tana Bekroi, the Tana Bekroi that we repeat the word Rabbi Mechayev Sheves loy Tani Bekra Sheves, which the Torah does not go ahead and repeat the word loy Mechayev. V'aminul huana imakolei nitna la'aged ripinavi loy Mechayev. If I said if the makkah should not be wounded up, you should not really have to pay ripu either. Elo the kuli alma makkah nitna la'aged. Everyone says what you could put the bandage on. But you can't put an extra bandage on. If you the sava kimin nitna la'agid yisera, right? Since you're not supposed to put the extra binder on, ripui the tani bekra, ripui that you repeat, mechayev. Sheves loy tani bekra loy mechayev. Rabbanan Savri kivin the tani bekra beripui asheves nami mechayev. So the Tanakama says the word, since you could do ripui chayev and sheves, the ishkis the ripui. Rabbi Yehuda Savar sheves loy mechayev the mir rachmana rak. Rabbanan rak the shaloi machmas amaka hudasa. Rabbanan basoy the army calls shechay b'sheves chay b'ripui called shein chay b'sheves ein chay b'ripui. Okay. So okay, guys, look at the board. Let's explain it. According to the Tanakama, since I put on an extra thing, I'm able to put it on. I'm chayiv in both. According to Rabbi Yehuda, there's the ripui where it has a double lashon rapa yirapa I'm chayiv, but I'm pata from sheves because it says rak shiftain. So rak is a miyah between maya from sheves. But Rabbanan Basrei say it's mukash to each other. Where I'm chayiv in sheves, I'm chayiv in ripui, and vice versa. Since I'm pata from sheves, I'm pata from ripui. Okay, that's the shittus on the board. Okay, so again, it's a lot of words. I'm talking a lot, but it's not really difficult Gemara. It's not a difficult Gemara. We're covering some basic ideas. Well, nezek, tsar shlei b'makom nezek. We discussed machloikis Rabbi and Ben Azai, according to where you're starting from. Are you starting from a total chiyuv on both? And then comes along the chabur to tell me only chabur, only to define that, well, not lav dafka. That's what a chabura. This is not a chabura. Rabbi says, according to Rabbi says yes. Kalu prat. The bottom line is that you nezek ben makom tsar is a limit from Rabbi from the lashon of the Torah of kviya tachas kviya and the word chabura. Now we're learning the word tsar. We're learning we're dashing the word tsar from the pasuk rak shifton yitem v'rap, not tsar. We're dashing sheves and ripoi, right? The doctor bills. Rak shifton yitem v'rapa yirape. We have a double lashon v'rapa yirape to tell me that in a situation, even if it's in a little bit extra, according to Tantama, you'd be chayiv. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you'd also be chayiv, but you'd be part of sheves because you don't have the double lashon. According to the Rambam Masroi, since you're part of sheves, you're part of from Rapa Yirape. Because it doesn't. Okay, the Fred Gemara, the Rapa Yirape, the Tani Bekra Lamali, mi boy le'lechetanya. I need it for something else. How could I go ahead, Rod, and use it to teach me that you're chayiv for refuah, even if it's up and above? I need it for the following. In other words, according to the Tana Basroi that you put the Tana of Yishmael, the Tanya of Yishmael Omer, Rapa Yirape, Mikan, Shenite Mishus L'Roife L'Rapois. In other words, according to the Tana of Basroi, according to the last Tana, this Tana over here, fellas, this Tana over here, the last guy. Good? That Yapata, what does he do with the limit of Rapa Yirape? Rabbi Yehuda uses to teach me chayiv ripui, and the Tanakama says chayiv ripui. So the double lashon is telling me I'm chayiv. What about this Tana? What does he do with the Rapa Yirape? He says you pata from ripui. So what does he do with it? To teach me that a doctor can practice. A doctor can practice. Now let's spend a minute or two on this. Look at Rashi. Rashi says something a bit ambiguous. Nasin Rishus the Roife L'Rapois, parallel in a few lines up, parallel to where we finished in a few lines up. V'loy Aminon Rachmona Machi, Hashem smites you, Hashem makes you sick, Hashem got you hit, V'ihu Maseh, and he, the doctor, is curing you. In other words, why would you need Rishus? Guys, why would you need Rishus in order to practice medicine? Says Rashi that people shouldn't say Hashem is like bad, right? And not he was cured. Very funny lashon, right? Not what I would have said. Look at Taisvis, third Taisvis in the bottom. Shinin Rishus l'roife l'rapois v'im taimar v'merapel l'chudesh aminalei. Why do you have to have a double lashon? You could have just said once. Yishleimar. To have amina, hani mili, when can a roife practice? Is b'makabi de adam. If it's something that is bidei adam, he's hit by a sword, he's bit by a bee, in other words, something that happens, a natural occurrence that's happening through another individual, then I'd say he can practice medicine. Let's say a disease that comes totally from Hashem, I would think Kishinis Rapeh, nearer Kisaisa Gezeres HaMelech. It appears if what? He's being Saisa Gezeres HaMelech, Kimash Malon Shari, that is permitted. It's you would think the following. Hashem runs the world, right? Hashem runs the world. If Hashem does something, and clearly it's from Hashem, in other words, if someone stabs you, you have to go ahead and be a maimin and say the following. Everything happens to the Rabbi in this world is because Hashem wants it to happen. So therefore, that this person stabbed me, he's supposed to, right? Now, he's not a tzaddik guy who stabbed me, but Hashem wanted it to happen. So there I can understand why a doctor could cure. After all, it's not clear it's from Hashem. So in that case, it's not going to cause any discord between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, if a person gets a disease that's clearly from Hashem, if another person would go ahead and practice medicine to overcome it, I might think that what? You can't do it. Therefore, you need Rappa to tell me you could. That's what Taisa says. Rashi, I don't know what, I'm not sure Rashi says the same thing. I'm not sure. But it seems to be, who are we to get involved in Hashem's cheshbon? Without the Torah telling me this, I would say you can't do it, guys. Only because Rappa could you do it. Without the Torah allowing me, I'd say Hashem wants the guy to get sick. If Hashem wants him to get better, he'll get better without me. If Hashem wants him to get better, he'll get better without me. Yes, Yehuda.
So then what would be the purpose of medicine in the Bria then, if you wouldn't have Rishus?
But that's after Rappa Yerape. So now, since you have the heta to do it, Hashem has gone ahead and facilitated the emtsoyim, the things that will go ahead and bring it about, drugs and surgery and teaching people these things. But again, without the Rappa Yerape, there would be no need for those things. I never would have learned like this, guys. I would have learned Pashit. And I don't know if Taisus is saying this. We live our lives very much like we're in control of things. We make our parnasa, we make our salaries. We control our fate. We can do what we want to do. A natural thing is for a person to go ahead and believe that he is in control of himself. It's the maimin, the person who understands the way Hashem works, is that Hashem hides himself behind this nature. Hashem hides himself by allowing it. In other words, and Hashem requires us to be mishtadel. Hashem can give you money, but Hashem wants you to be mishtadel in order to, A, make it easier to have bitachon in him, right? To make it easier to have bitachon in him, a B, to test us whether we're going to have bitachon in him. I would have said that anything I do to go ahead, and maybe that Taisus is saying that if you have a disease over here, that I would say that it's a lack of bitachon for me to go ahead and try to cure the disease. Because if Hashem wants it to be cured, it'll be cured. Kamash Malon, we don't say that. Kamash Malon, Rappa Yerape. Kamash Malon, Hashem makes it easier for us to go ahead and believe in him by allowing a cure. What happens all the time? You know, really, this is the right hashkafa, that the doctor is only a shaliach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If Hashem wants you to get better, the doctor is just the means of doing it. What's the biggest raya? The shitzkadach, a person gets yena machlo, they get cancer. And they go from doctor to doctor, doctor to doctor, and then the doctor finally says there's no hope. So what does the person say? Well, doesn't say what does the doctor know. He says, Ein oid milvadai. There's only you, Hashem. But that was always there before. It was there before, but you went to the doctors, and it should have been there before. It should have been there all along. So the Rappa Yerape, you know what it does? It gives the doctor the permission to go ahead and practice medicine, because Ein Achinami, it's going to go ahead and take away from what? abitachin. We're going to place abitachin in the doctor, but it's not true. I still remember I went for my first surgery on my knee, and I looked at the doctor, and before I went on, I said two things. One, make believe that this knee belongs to Michael Jordan. I want you operating upon me that this knee belongs to Michael Jordan. I said, and B, just remember that you're just a shliach of God. And God, you went to medical school and I told him this. You went to medical school and you're obviously super competent, or else I wouldn't be here. I heard wonderful things about you, but realize that you're only hands of God, and that's what I believe. But I don't know if Taisus is saying that. I mean, I know the Shabbi Tachin says that. I know that Shabbi Tachin in Chavis Al-Vavis and Perik Dalet says it. I'm not sure what Taisus says. Maybe Taisus is saying in a very succinct manner. He's saying that that anything that's bidei shemayim, if you let a doctor cure you, it may take away from avodas Hashem, and therefore you needed to go ahead and instill and say, no, I'm giving him rishus, but be aware that nonetheless, even though you have rishus, you're getting better only because I want you to get better. Again, I'm sticking these words in Taisus Sellers, but again, the hashkafa certainly is the hashkafa. That's the correct hashkafa. That's the correct hashkafa. Again, you see people who get sick, and the way they handle it, you see exactly what see exactly where they're holding. You see exactly where they're holding. It's an amazing thing. Okay. Anyway, fighter. Okay, where are we up to? Oh, that's the Tanya Rabbi Shmuel. Let's see it again. Tanya Rabbi Shmuel. Right, we're up to the Tanya Rabbi Shmuel. Okay. What? So we said, what is the Rabbanan Basroi who says you don't even pay the doctor bills? What do you use Rappa for? Tanya Rabbi Shmuel, Oimer, Rappa Mikan Shenitein Rishus the Roifil Rappos. And we don't say that since it's Mina Shemayim, that it should be also to go ahead and do it. Tan Rabbanan. Minayin she'im olu bat smachim machmas hamaka. After he gets better, the scabs come as a result of a makkah. V'nistru hamaka, and it comes back. Shechayiv l'rfoisei v'chayiv litin le'shiftoi. That you chayiv not only to go ahead and pay the doctor bills, but also pay the disability. Talmud Leimar says rak shifton yitain v'rapo yirape. Right? It says the fact that a double lashon's rapo yirape, you have to pay again. Okay, and sheves is, and we make the hekesh between sheves, the disability, and the doctor bill. I might think of what if these tzmachim come back not as a result of the initial injury. The rak that what you won't have to pay for. Even if the tzmachim come as a result of the makkah, you potter. Shneimar rak. It says rak, right? And we remind the sheves machmas makkah. Ikedi amri. Af machmas hamaka potter legamri, meaning even on the doctor bills. K'Rabbanan Basroi, v'ikedi amri af machmas hamaka potter misheves v'chayev b'ripoy kiman ke'avur, like Rabbi Yehuda, his father. Again, so when it says over here rak, guys, again, rak shifton yitin v'rapa yirape, is the rak going back only on the sheves or going back on both? Okay. Says the Gemara, Omamar, going back over to Baisa, Yochel afilu shlei machmas hamaka. I might think that what even shlei machmas hamaka you'd be chayev that it comes back. Tamalei rak. I don't understand. I hit you in your foot, and now all of a sudden you get a pimple on your head. I'm going to be chayiv to pay. I mean, it doesn't mean that. It means that the pimple comes on the foot. But since the pimple has nothing to do with the original injury, why do I need a pasuk to tell me you don't have to pay? Of course I don't have to pay. I only have to pay with what I did. If this happens to you not as a result of what I did, why would I have to pay? That I need a pasuk to say rak. Says the Gemara, Ami. My shaloi machmas hamaka. You know what it means, shaloi machmas hamaka? Not like you thought. Kedetanya. Overall divrei roifei. He doesn't listen to the doctor. Doctor tells him, don't do this. And he doesn't listen. V'yachol devash. He eats honey. Like kol minim atika, or anything that's sweet. Mifnei shedevash v'chol minim atika koshen lamaka, because they're not good for this injury. V'helam akoser girgusni. And he has this maka of girgusni. We'll see what that is in a second. Yachli yechayil l'foisai. I might think he has to pay. Talmud loymar. In other words, Talmud loymar rak. Pirish. Guys, it's not pshat that he didn't get better. It's not pshat that this injury came about a result as machmas tamaka. In other words, he didn't get better yet. Again, If he got better, fellas, guys, if he got better, and then it comes, I don't need a pasuk to tell me you got to pay for a pimple that has nothing to do with the initial injury. I don't need that. He never got better, but something came about as a result, nothing to do with the makkah. The doctor, he had a makkah. The doctor said, do this and this and this, and don't do this. He does the don't do. Don't eat sugar, don't eat candy, don't eat the honey. And he eats it. So he didn't get better, but the makkah whatever came about as a result as a separate thing. But since he didn't get better, you might think, what? Yeah, it's still part of it. Kamashbal, that's not. That's the rak. That's what it comes to teach me. That scenario. Kidatanya. He doesn't listen to the doctor. I might think you have to pay because you didn't get better. My gegusni, what's gegusni? Rabbi, nasa krichta. It's dry skin. My asuse, what's the cure for dry skin? Ahaloi, that's like aloe. The kira is wax. The kalba seems to be wine resin, and you go ahead and you smear it on, and it makes you better. The amale, and let's say the person who hits him says the following: Asyir Hanach, you know what? I'm a doctor. Don't go to him. Don't go to Park Avenue. Don't go to the city. I'll take care of you in Bushwick. I'm a doctor. I'll take care of you. Amalei, the person who got hit, the nechva can say to the chayvel, the ma'asalai ka'aryeh arva. You appear to me like a lion in ambush. I'm not trusting you. Trust me. You hit me. I'm not trusting you to cure me. The yamalai, if the chayvel says, again, the chayvel is the mazik. My sinan asya, the magen b'magon, I'm going to go ahead and bring you this home remedy, right? For free. I'm going to bring you, I have this home remedy. It's free. You don't have to worry about anything, right? So Amaloi, the nizik can say to him, the nechba can say to him, Asya de magon b'magon magashava. Your home remedy is worth garnish but garnished. It's worth nothing. It's like not worth nothing. The Omar, the Chayvel says,
you get what you pay for.
Not always. Sometimes, basically. You ever see these commercials? They claim they're going to cure this disease. Like no one's cured the disease. If you have diabetes, we're going to cure. Simple cure. Drink this, and you're going to be better. Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, the Omar, my sinalach asya rechika. You know what? This doctor in Park Avenue charges a lot of money. I got a guy in Kansas. Just wait till he comes. And guess what? Amalei, the nechbal, the nizik can say to him, asya rechika. Eina Avira. A guy in Kansas who's going to come and cure me, he's going to leave. He doesn't care if he blinds me or not. He doesn't care about his reputation in New York. He only cares about his reputation in Kansas. And let's say the nechbal, the nizik, says to the mazik. So the nechbal saying to the chayvel, okay, you pay me the money that you pay a doctor, and I'll take care of myself. In other words, again, insurance pays $500. Give me the $500, and I'll take care of myself. Amalei, he could say, listen, you know what you're going to do? You're going to take care of yourself, and it's going to cost me more money because you're not going to cure yourself. The Amalei, and if the nechbal says, give me a set amount, so not more than that. Amalei, you can say to him, and what happens? You give a set amount, and then you don't get better. People are going to go ahead and say that I'm literally a damaging shard. People are going to say that this guy is a not trustworthy guy. Bottom line is, guys, this is all discussing where Bezdin doesn't evaluate. We're going to see when Bezdin evaluates, then you go after the evaluation of Bezdin. This is speaking pre-evaluation. These guys, you know what? This is before you go to insurance. This guy's, you make a deal between yourselves. That's the good nimshal, right? You're making the mashal. You're making a deal between yourselves. Vitana, Vikulan, all the four things. Nezek, Sarip, B'Sheves, Boishes, without the Nezek. Mishtalmin, B'Makim, Nezek. In other words, you have Nezek, and you could have all four with the Nezek. Minani Mili, how do you know? So, Amrav Svid, Mishmei Derova, Amakra, Petza, Tachas, Patza. In other words, it's extra. Litein, Tsar, B'Makim, Nezek. In other words, guys, I would say the following. if you're paying damages, it should be all inclusive. I'm paying you for what you were worth beforehand and now what you're worth afterwards. So why do I have to pay the other ones? Why do I have to pay Sar b'makam nezek, Sheves b'makam nezek, Ripa b'makam nezek, Boishav b'makam nezek? How do you know even when you pay nezek, you have to pay all the other four? That's what the Gemara is trying to figure out. So it's Pesach Tachas Patza, that to go ahead, that Sar b'makam nezek. Says the Gemara, I need this pasuk mi boile on the base. I need a rabbis shogi kemezis for oinus kiratza and for adam wood oilam. Guys, Daf Chavav. We had early in the Masechta. We had the halacha of what of adam wood oilam. We learned from Pesach Tachas Patza. So that no matter what a person does, he's a muid. So how can I use it to teach me tzar b'makam nezek? And Cain, if it's only coming to teach me that nichda kra, it should just write petza b'patza. My petza tachas patza. That extra word, Shema Minatarti, you hear two things. You hear you hear that is Adam Mul Oilam, and you also hear that you pay for Tsar b'makam nezek. The Pav Mishmei the Rav Amar Kra v'Rapa Yerape Litin Refuah b'makam nezek. That even though when you pay nezek, you still have to pay the doctor bills. The Tanya very b'shmoyel, the Tanya very b'shmoyel v'Rapa Yerape Mikan Shenitna Rishus l'Roifei l'Rapois. If I needed to, at the whole sugi we just did, right, of that the doctor has to go ahead and cure me, I need it for that. How can I teach me that you pay the doctor bills even when you paid the nezek already? Right? Says the Gemara, Cain, if all was coming to teach me was Rapa Yerape, that you pay the doctor, that you are permitted to practice medicine, Nichtav Avane Veroife Yerape, right? It should have said what? Veroife Yerape. Shmamino alitim im kein nichtav kra. It should have said im kein nichtav kra. Plus it said v'roife yerape. In other words, v'roife, guys, v'roife yerape, and the roife he will go ahead and cure you. Why when it says v'rape yerape, right? When it says shmamino litim refuah b'makam nezek. V'akatis miboile. Right? So lemisni bay boy. I needed to double down to tell me that you pay, that we said earlier that if you have wounds that return, that smachim come back, the Rapa Yerape to teach me that you're going to pay for the wounds that come back. Right? That was the sheetas on the chart, guys, right? The double lashon. That's what Rabbi Yehuda, right, on this chart. Fellas. This chiyuv of ripu and the chiyuv of ripu is because it says Rapa Yerape. So in other words, aside from teaching me that he has you're learning out three things. One, you're learning out what? That you're paying ripu b'makam nezek. Okay. Questions the Gemara. I needed to teach me doctor bills, that the doctor can go ahead and practice medicine. It could say v'roife Yerape. It could say the roife, but it says Rapa Yerape. It says the Gemara, so I still need it for this. That even where the comes back machmas the makkah, yichayev beripui, because it says it twice. So if I need it for this halacha, I don't have it extra to teach me ripui b'makam nezek. I don't have an issue to teach me ripui b'makam nezek. Says the Gemara and Cain, if that's all it's coming to teach me, lemakra oy rapoi rapoi, oy yerape, the same lashon. My v'rapoi yerape, why the different lashon? Shmamina to go ahead to give refuah b'makam nezek. So therefore, now we know, but Baruch Hashem, we know Sar Shlei b'makam nezek, and we know what we know, and we know Ripoy Shlei b'makam nezek. Says the Gemara Vaita. Mechlal de mishkachas Shlei b'makam nezek. You can find Ripoy Shlei b'makam nezek, fellas. How is it possible to have ripoy if there's no nezek? In other words, fellas, we're learning out what? Guys, we had a limud correct. Why was a limudim? That even makam nezek, I'm chayiv. It seems dava pashit that shloi b'makam nezek, right? I'm chayiv. When you needed a limud to tell me that b'makam nezek, where you're paying for the damages, the nezek, you're going to pay for the tsar and the ripoy. Mechlal, you can infer if there's no nezek, right? each one of the four things you could be chayiv by themselves. I can have tsar without nezek. I can have ripui without nezek. I can have sheves without nezek. I can have boishes without nezek, right? Yes? Yes, no, maybe? You understand? In other words, when I have a limud to teach me where there is a nezek you pay, when I needed that limud, we can infer that what? Of course, without the nezek, you're going to pay. So the Gemara wants to find out what are those cases. The Gemara wants to find out what are those cases. Mechlal, we can infer from the fact that you needed a limud to teach me you do pay b'makam nezek. Now, how do you find without a damage that you're not paying damages all these cases? Tsar kidiktani. Tsar would be, for example, tsar is kavoi b'shvud. You burned him with a spit or a masmer or a nail. Vafilu al sipornoi makam sheina oisach habura. So that's like we spoke at the dove, right? Clearly, you can have tsar without a monetary loss. Ripui, a doctor bill without a monetary loss. He has what? A person hit him. He looks the same, but he's concussed. That's a good example, right? In a concussion, he looks exactly the same, but he's in pain. So you'll go to a doctor. He'll have to pay the doctor bill, even though what? There's no physical nezek being paid. Okay, I guess the concussion would not be a very good. It makes sense, but the Gemara doesn't say that. Let's say he went ahead and he put on his skin something that turned it white, like a tsaras. He has to put on something else that'll make it better. So therefore, even though there's no nezek, right, but he's going to have to pay the doctor bill to get the second psalm to make the first one go away. Sheves, the hatge in dura ubatle. Guys, we want to go to work, and the guy takes away the keys to your car. You want to go to work, he locks you in a room. So therefore, he's been mevatel you from malacha. So there's no damage to you, but he's got to make you up for your monetary loss that you didn't work. And finally, the boishes, the raklei ba'apay. When would you pay boishes? Where's boishes without nezek? You spit in his face. You spit in somebody's face. It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing, but nonetheless, what? You're not going to pay. You're not going to pay a doctor bill. Excuse me. You're going to pay. You can pay for embarrassment. You can pay for embarrassment. Okay. Now we said sheves. Well, how do you go ahead and figure out disability? Roy and I will view him as if he's a scarecrow. He's a watcher of crops. Okay, the Gemara that we're going through now, there's many problems, but we're going to go with Rashi. Okay, as Kedarkai. Should be aware there are different pshatim over here with different gersois, but we're going to go with Rashi. Sheves roinai say kilu shaymek kishur. Tana Rabbanan. Sheves. How do you go ahead and evaluate disability? Roinai say kilu shaymek kishur. Review is what is that he is a shaymek kishur, and now we can't do that because he's in bed. In other words, you don't go ahead and view him as a doctor. You view him as a shaymek kishur. Right? There's a Taisa that speaks about, or this Taisa speaks about. It depends what he was doing beforehand. Let's say he had a big job beforehand. You can't view him as a Roy Kishuin. But right now, Roy Kishuin will view him as a person who is Vim Taimar. What are you going to say? Loksam midas adin. The chimiftach haigavra, when he gets better, lav agud is shaymek Kishuin who shakal. He can make more money than that. Ella, for example, if he didn't have an arm, dali davla b'shakal igra. It could be if he had an arm but he didn't have a foot, he can go ahead and pull water from a well. Inami also b'shliach v'shakal igra. If he doesn't have an arm but he has a foot, he'd be able to go ahead and be a shliach. So midas I didn't like laksa. So why don't we pay for that? Says midas didn't like laksa. In other words, why are you limiting to Shai Kishun? We can get him a higher paying job, whatever it is, despite he losing his arm, despite he losing his leg, we can get him a better job. And that was saying that no, because he already paid for that because already you did pay nezek, and that's going to take it into account. Amarava, kates yadai. If you cut off his hand, noisin loy demei yadai, you give him the worth of his hand. V'sheves and roy noisay kilu shaymi kishuin. Because again, if you don't have an arm, we can view you as you can go ahead. you're able to walk around the field because you have legs. You just won't be able to pick anything, but I'm not asking you to pick anything. Shiver es ragloi, if you break his foot, noisen lo demei ragloi, you pay him for the worth of his foot. Again, this is the valuation based on the slave market. And the shemes roin is like ilu shemes pesach. You can't view him as a shemek yeshurun, guys, because to be a shemek yeshurun, you got to walk around the field. This guy has a broken foot. So what can he do? He can be shemes pesach. He can be a guard. It stays in one spot. Sima es einoi, noisin lo demei einoi. And what's the shemes for a person you blinded? Roin is like ilu maftichoi berechayim. He's able to go ahead and grind in a mill. However, Chorshoy, if you deafen him, you have to pay the value of all these things. That seems to be, he's like a dead person. That a person is a cherish like a dead person, you have to pay all these things. Boy, Rav, Kotes, I think we'll stop over here. I think this flows into Motzei Shabbos. Let's stop over here. And Bes Hashem.